welcome to this new video for my channel, The Mental Traveler. I'm Caro Herrera and today I'm going to be reviewing a book called Vivien Leigh, a Biography. It was written by Anne Edwards and published in 1977. And just in case you do not know who Vivien Leigh was, she was an English actress best known for playing Scarlett O Hara in Gone with the Wind. Before I begin though, let me just say that this will be a video with spoilers, seeing as I can't talk about one of my two favorite actresses without mentioning key moments in her life. I've been in love with Gone with the Wind since I was a little girl. It's my favorite book, movie. It has my favorite literary characters, my favorite love story of all times. So yeah, it's no surprise that Vivien Leigh is my favorite actress, and it was through Gone with the Wind that I first became aware of her. And years later, when I started developing a love British actors from the 30s, Vivien Leigh was always top of my list. And just as she has captivated me by her portrayal of Scarlett O'Hara, her personal life, once I started researching it, also captivated me because it's so fascinating. I have read another biography about her, the one written by Alexander Walker, which I have yet to review in my channel, and through the years I've seen almost every film Vivien Leigh was ever in. Along with Vanessa Redgrave, she's my favorite actress of all times, as I said before. I also think she's the most beautiful woman that has ever lived, and I admire her for her courage, talent, passion, among other things. One of the main reasons why I wanted to read this book is because I've read other biographies by Anne Edwards, and I've really enjoyed them. I read the one about Margaret Mitchell, the author of Gone with the Wind, the one about Queen Elizabeth II and her sister Princess Margaret, and the one about Queen Elizabeth's grandmother, Queen Mary of Teck. And I love the way she writes biographies because at times it doesn't even read like a proper formal biography, meaning that it ends up feeling like a novel, the way she tells it. You can imagine I was quite looking forward to reading this book. The biography begins by telling us what Vivien's parents were doing before they met, what her childhood in India was like, and then it follows through her childhood at a convent school in Britain to her teenage years traveling all over Europe with her parents. It continues to show us how her first marriage came about, how her acting ambition started. It follows through her relationship with Laurence Olivier, how she managed to beat thousands of women for the coveted role of Scarlett O'Hara, what she did after that movie came about, both professionally and privately. It shows us her stage and film career, her relationship with Jack and Marivald, and her struggles with tuberculosis, bipolar disorder, and her fight with maniac depression. Okay, so first of all, I give this biography a 4 out of 5 stars review because I learned a lot of things about Vivien that I didn't know before, and there are details that are dear to me because they're connected with other things that I like. For example, what her favorite scenes in Gone with the Wind were, that she was a fellow royalist, and that she acted one of my favorite plays, Lady of the Camels, in Mexico City. So it's nice to know that she not only visited my country, but that she also performed in the Mexican stage. And although by the end of the book I knew how she died, I couldn't help myself and I started crying and crying. Before reading this book, as I said, I'd read the other biography I have about her, and I've seen tons of documentaries about Vivien as well. Still, I really want to reread now Walker's take on her life so that I can sort of compare and contrast and fill in the gaps about her life with these two works. But what most impressed me about this biography was that it really helped me imagine the pain and despair Vivien must have felt through her various illnesses, and what those around her, from Olivier to Marivald to her mother and her friends, had to cope with when she was in a state. I wish though that the book had given us more details about how she approached acting, what her technique was like, for example. And this leads me to certain negative points about the book which make me give it a 4 out of 5 stars review, because in the end, while I do recommend it to any Vivien Leigh fan out there, I think that the author tells us rather than shows us what's happening in the actress's life. And this surprised me because in her other works, she shows us, she makes it feel like it's a novel, as I mentioned earlier. And I did some research and I think this may be because this was the author's second ever biography, so I guess she hadn't quite managed to find her writing style when dealing with this genre of literature. And still, even though it was published in the 70s and may be outdated, it has some mistakes. For example, the author seems to idolize Laurence Olivier, and while I love him and consider him one of the best actors of ever, I wonder if Edwards deliberately tried to whitewash him, or maybe she was trying to write him the way she thought Vivien saw him. He appears quite saint-like here, while it's well known that he was not. And while the author points out at times that Vivien may have been unfaithful to Larry, at no point does she remark that there are also rumors that Olivier was unfaithful to her, even that he was bisexual. An example of this could be the way he's portrayed as not really noticing Marilyn Monroe's charms when they filmed the movie together. Well, if you watch a movie called My Week with Marilyn, which deals about the production of this movie called The Prince and the Showgirl, we see that Laurence was quite willing at the start to be friendly with Marilyn. And overall, Vivien doesn't come out as over possessive or jealous here. Rather, she's just not really ever certain if Lawrence is cheating on her with Joan Plowright or not at the start. Well, I think that she would have made it her business to find out quite quickly. And then also, there's a point that the author never emphasized what it meant for Vivien to win 2 Academy Awards. I don't know, maybe in real life she didn't really care that much about that, because apparently she was never happy with her work, thinking that she could never quite manage to be on the same level as Olivier. And while this may be true in the theater, I don't think it's true in movies. But then again, she cared more about theater than she did about making movies. When I say that Laurence Olivier is portrayed quite saint-like here, we don't get a hint that he might have been jealous of Vivien's early success because she won an Academy Award before he did. Who knows, maybe this brought conflict into their marriage. I would have liked to have known the author's point of view about this rather than her just ignoring it. I think this wasn't that rich of and fulfilling of a reading experience. I mean, at times, Vivien reminded me of Scarlett O Hara because she was so intent on idolizing Lawrence the way Scarlett idolizes Ashley. And as we get to see at the end of Gone with the Wind, that wasn't quite the smartest choice she ever made. I don't know. The Olivier's relationship was very complex. They're both very interesting people. But Anne Edwards, I didn't get the feeling that she quite grasped what they were about. Maybe this was because the book came out when Olivier was still alive. She didn't want to anger him or something. I don't know. Still, a good thing about this book is that it made me, in a way, dislike Laurence Olivier, because even though I get his point and why he couldn't cope with Vivien in the end with her illnesses and stuff, I don't like him because he gave up on her, he deserted her. And yet, a good thing about the book is that it made me appreciate and really fall in love with Jack Maribald, who was Vivien's last love interest. He was such a sweet, wonderful, patient man. He was her lover, her friend, her caretaker. He always knew that he would come second best when compared with Larry, and he didn't seem to mind because he loved her so much. There were also some details that I noticed that the author either got wrong or didn't quite explain very clearly regarding naming the British royal family. And as a royalist, I didn't like that, but that's just a minor detail. But yes, anyways, this is all I have to say about this biography about Vivien Leigh by Anne Edwards. Thank you very much for watching it. Please let me know if you liked it or not, and I would love to talk about Vivien with you, so let me know your own thoughts about this wonderful actress. In the description box below, you can find a link to the book's Goodreads page. Also, before I go, I have a Mental Traveler Instagram account, so if you're on that social platform, please follow me. And well, I'm Carolina, the Mental Traveler, and I hope you have a wonderful day wherever you are in the world. Goodbye!